I had a recurring dream as a kid of having, in different ways, accumulated a lot of treasure: money, jewelry, diamonds, all kinds of valuable stuff. But I was usually somewhat aware that I was dreaming, since I had woken up empty-handed and disappointed many times before. Therefore, still in my dream, I kinda knew that this treasure I had was bound to slip between my fingers and be rendered worthless by the act of waking up. I speculated in my dreams of ways to somehow make this wealth survive the transition into being awake, but as you might guess, I never succeeded. The feeling of having spent all this energy accumulating this wealth, fighting dragons and whatnot, only for it to be gone when I woke up, was extremely annoying and frustrating to me as a kid. It just seemed unfair to me. I had a piggy bank back then. I looked at money as a very physical and magical thing. It fascinated me. The crisp bills with different colors, the shiny coins, they wouldn't disappear since I was already awake. My parents told me about the virtue of saving, and it resonated with me. The thought of delaying gratification right now and instead save for some bigger gratification down the road was cool to me. I even heard stories of this thing called a bank, where your money actually grew if you held it there over time. How amazing! A system that rewards patience, where you can store and increase the fruits of your time and effort. Banks sounded awesome. I was never told about the concept of inflation, neither how the money in my piggy bank came into existence. I doubt it was fully understood by my parents. Anyways, my love affair with fiat money and banks continued for some years, until my interest in ice cream started to make cracks in the illusion. In Norway we have this ice cream called kroneis. Its name coming from the Norwegian currency Norwegian krone and the Norwegian word for ice, is. It's kind of an institution in Norwegian culture, having existed since 1955. It was given the name kroneis since it cost 1 krone. In the 50s, 1 krone was quite a lot, so initially this was a huge ice cream to justify the price. To maintain the price of 1 krone despite inflation, the size of the ice cream shrank from year to year, until they finally had to capitulate and raise the price above 1 krone in 1970. When I was 8 years old, this ice cream cost 5 krones, and I remember finding it kinda strange that an ice cream called kroneis cost more than 1 krone. I was quite shocked to see that the next summer price had increased again, and it kept increasing almost every year. I slowly started to realize that the coins and banknotes I was saving up in my piggy bank were actually losing value every year, at least when I measured them against kroneis. This made me feel very disappointed, like someone had cheated me, lied to me on something fundamental. Apparently, I was not in control of the wealth I had accumulated. Anything I tried to save would slip slowly away between my fingers. That same feeling I got from my dreams was now manifesting also while I was awake. I started to resign myself to the thought that reliably holding on to accumulated wealth may not be possible. By 1991, the price of a kronis had passed 10 krones. I didn't even raise a brow anymore. I was already fully conditioned to the crazy reality of inflationary fiat money, that this was the natural way of things, the only way of things. By the way, today a kronis cost between 25 and 30 kroner, depending on where you buy it. That's a cool 30 times more expensive than in 1970. Many years after having the price of ice cream shoved the brutal reality of fiat money down my throat, I was on my couch reading some tech article. I saw this thing called Bitcoin referenced. I got curious and googled it, and not many minutes later found myself reading the white paper. I was immediately mind blown. Only 21 million coins will ever exist. Completely decentralized. Byzantine generals' problem solved. If this was true, if this actually worked, it changed everything. That was very clear to me. I think scarcity is a very powerful concept for humans. At least it is for me. And Bitcoin resonated deep within me from that first day. It seemed to promise to not only solve the problem that initially made me uneasy and disappointed in childhood, that money as I knew it continuously lost its purchasing power, but also had the almost magical property of bringing truth we can agree on, objective truth, truth that is forever stored on the Bitcoin blockchain, impossible to change or manipulate. Central authorities like nation-states and banks bring many negative side effects. They take away different parts of people's sovereignty. Among them, their ability to reliably store the fruits of their labor and to freely exchange this stored value with other people. This lack of financial sovereignty makes us less connected with people around the world. The lack of economic free speech fosters misunderstandings and feelings of separateness. The lightning torch being sent to Iran and onwards to Israel was to me a profound example of how most borders that separate us are illusions created to control us. I want to end this little rant of mine on a slightly esoteric note. There is an originally Hindu concept of something called Indra's net. This almost 2,000-year-old metaphor posits that much of what separates us as humans is illusionary. That we are actually all connected, sharing something. It explains how all the consciousnesses in the world are connected in a big network, each consciousness like a node on the network. The nodes are each conscious, each in its own way the totality. As such, the nodes are of supreme importance. Hawaiian Buddhism describes Indra's net like this. Far away in the heavenly abode of the great god Indra, there is a wonderful net which has been hung by some cunning maker in such a manner that it stretches out indefinitely in all directions. In accordance with the extravagant tastes of deities, the maker has hung a single glittering jewel at the net's every node. And since the net itself is infinite in dimension, the jewels are infinite in number. There hang the jewels, glittering like stars of the first magnitude, a wonderful sight to behold. If we now arbitrarily select one of these jewels for inspection and look closely at it, we will discover that in its polished surface there are reflected all the other jewels of the net, infinite in number. And not only that, but each of the jewels reflected in this one jewel is also reflecting all the other jewels, so that there is an infinite reflecting process occurring. The parallels to Bitcoin are obvious and beautiful to me. An open, shared, and distributed consciousness. Its truth continuously mirrored in all the nodes on the network. I think the implications of us having manifested this in meat space with Bitcoin are profound. And I think us storing value on this shared immutable truth ledger, a groundbreaking, revolutionary, and paradigm-shifting use case in itself, is only the small beginning.